Hello and welcome to Not Now in Theaters. My name is Will Turntail and I'm a writer and film fan from California. This episode is all about Atomic Blonde. Some referred to it as Jane Wick, since it is directed by John Wick co-creator David Leitch. The movie is a super spy showdown just before the fall of the Berlin Wall. I never got to see this film back when it came out, seeing a trailer for it, but somehow never getting around to it. Since it is filled with action sequences people still praise on Reddit threads and other places today, I thought it might be cool to check into a movie less back in time than most of the things I cover on this podcast. Although there aren't fixed rules here. So I'm excited to get into this all-out action and spy thriller with you. Before we start, a reminder that making films is hard and you have to respect that, so any criticisms are meant to be constructive. This review will contain spoilers. I'll do my best to call them out for you before they come up. Okay, let's get into the movie. Atomic Blonde, spies, spray paint, and sensuality. Atomic Blonde is the spray-painted neo-punk remix of the spy thriller. Forget the straightening of Bond's shirt collar into proper place after a death-defying stunt, martinis at the club, or the humming engine of a properly tuned and gadget-filled Aston Martin. Here, we strangle, ram with a car, or beat our rivals to pieces with the debris around us to the amped and enhanced sounds of New Order, Depeche Mode, or Nina's 99 Luftballons. 99 red balloons, for us English speakers. But this mayhem is controlled chaos with a designer's style. Atomic Blonde is slick, it's sexy, it's Charlize Theron as masculine and feminine as a woman spy can. And she's all over this movie, acting as one of several co-producers on what is described as a passion project. The film is adapted from the 2012 comic book The Coldest City by Anthony Johnston and Sam Hart, with a screenplay by Kurt Jonstad. Or is it Jonstad? And the movie is directed by actor, stuntman, stunt coordinator, all-turned producer and director, got that, David Leitch, in his directorial credited debut. He had done uncredited co-directing on the first John Wick film, which he helped co-create. And the John Wick connections don't end there. It's said that Charlize Theron, in training for the film, had a friendly rivalry with Keanu Reeves, often sparring together. Released in March 2017, Atomic Blonde has received generally favorable reviews. You can see its current 79% critical score and 64% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. I missed the film when it was released, buried at that time with a 1-year-old and unable to crawl my sleep-deprived self to the theater or the streaming box. But as I've emerged from that hazy train, I'm filling in the gaps of what's been missed. I actually thought this movie bombed, but found fans later? No, it succeeded from the launch. The movie hit a combined $100 million at the worldwide box office on its $30 million budget, making it a solid success, I guess. If you factor in the marketing dollars they spent, it's probably still a good profit. And if you seek it out on Reddit threads or other platforms, the film has some enduring fans. So it's time to check into what I've been missing. So is Atomic Blonde a good movie? The plot of Atomic Blonde. In an interrogation room, bruised and battered British MI6 agent Lorraine Broughton returns to tell Eric Gray, her superior, just what the hell happened over the last few days of her mission. Listening in are Emmett Kurzfeld of the CIA and C, the head of MI6. As Broughton tells her story, we go back to November 1989, just days before the collapse of the Berlin Wall. Broughton's mission is to recover a stolen microfilm containing the identities of all active intelligence agents in Berlin. She also needs to identify Satchel, a double agent for the KGB who may still be in the city. Broughton recounts her partnership with Berlin Station Chief David Percival, her affair with undercover French agent Delphine Lassalle, and the complications of extracting Stasi defector, quote, Spyglass, who has memorized the agent list. As Broughton recounts harrowing fighting in the buildings and on the streets, will the revelations of her mission upend worldwide security? And just to take you through this cast, MI6 agent Lorraine Broughton is played by Charlize Theron. Eric Gray is played by Toby Jones. Emmett Kurzfeld is played by John Goodman. And C is by James Faulkner. You've got James McAvoy playing David Percival, Sofia Boutella playing Delphine Lassalle, and Eddie Marsan as Spyglass. And you can read the rest of the main cast here in the transcript. It's got some cool people in it as well, of course. You'll notice that Bill Skarsgård appears, as well as a guy named Till Schweiger, who, if you don't know, is a really cool German actor you probably recognize. So let's get into what's good in Atomic Blonde. First, it's Charlize and frenemies, which is worth 5 points. I had seen Charlize Theron bring beauty and attitude to the modern action classic Fury Road with aplomb. Her challenge here is the balance of fierce and the femme fatalish, and she nails both. Her agent Broughton is razor-sharp glass. Taking her ice baths to tend her wounds, she seems like she could break apart from the pressures of agent life. But don't touch her, she cuts like a katana. And her look, behind white, square sunglasses and propped up by tall boots or stiletto heels, wrapped in a pea coat or swooshy sweater, it's all designer, all too chic, every bit untouchable. Fashion mags seem her only friend. She'll tell you to go fuck yourself, full of poise and conflict, or draw you in with her pose. A spider woman, a praying mantis from London's shopping district. James McAvoy is full of value as Broughton's Berlin host and MI6 ally, Percival. He's fond of dressing like Tyler Durden from Fight Club. He day drinks, night drinks, and potentially rides the tail of other substances to get through, even if his dwelling is stacked like a library. But Percival has a quiet rage when the moment calls, and his name is fun to say, which I think counts for something. Sofia Boutella plays the sultry French agent Delphine Lassalle, Broughton's love interest. Or is it victim? Enchanted by Broughton, Boutella lets us know that Lassalle isn't quite up to the harsh challenge of the spy world, and as the film says, should have been a rock star after all. And we can't ignore the strong presence of supporting characters such as John Goodman as Emmett Kurzfeld of the CIA, Till Schweiger as the mercurial watchmaker, or Eddie Marsan as Spyglass, the Stasi defector who has memorized the list of agents. Next, let's talk the film's frenetic action, which adds a whomping 8 points. Chases on foot, by car, and plenty of brawl go off in this film. The action embraces the brutal and the beautiful. There are mean moments, like when a key is crammed into someone's cheek, who continues fighting, with the chain banging around their face as they go. But there are stylistic, anime-like sequences. Broughton turns up the volume on the stereo for an apartment fight with a whole mess of cops, taking them down with rope, or maybe it's a garden hose, and martial arts. She pulls up her sweater over her face and dispenses the remaining police, unable to handle her speed. Most reviews of the film wander toward the stairwell fight, an approximately 10-minute sequence that looks like it's all one take. Various sources confirm it's actually multiple sly cuts to look like one take. The one take or multi-takes don't matter though. The exhilarating flurry of it as it winds down into a fight of who can actually stay on their feet is gripping. Key here is the cutting. You see characters fighting in wide shots without constant cuts between punches and kicks. This doesn't scramble the action or hide flaws. It lets the audience see the choreography clearly, and it looks fantastic without trickery. Next up, it's the ladies and ladies, oh my, which adds 2 points. I feel a little basic here, giving out points for the lesbian or bi lust sessions between Charlize Theron's Broughton and Sofia Boutella's French agent Delphine Lassalle. But when things get this, how do I put this like a gentleman, believable and graphic, and the moments between them are this steamy, whew, I've got to applaud it. Yeah, they kiss a few times in the club and whatnot, and the red lighting and firm planting of the lips, it's getting hot under the collar. But the true heat goes full on in their love scene, which apparently only took 45 minutes to film. Miss Theron said the love scene was easy to shoot because they are both dancers, and Miss Boutella said it was easy because it was with Charlize, who made her so comfortable, and is Charlize. That there should tell you some things about the business getting believable. Broughton loves as ferociously as she fights, and Lassalle is ready to receive and give plenty back. But But there is a bit more to the romance than pure lust. You have an experienced agent with a young love, almost like an apprentice. You get the feeling from the blocking of Broughton holding LaSalle that LaSalle is attracted to Broughton's appearance, but also that feeling of comfort. This more experienced agent, her lover, could be a comfort blanket of sorts. So what's not so good in Atomic Blonde? You have to start with the cigarette intrigue, which takes away 6 points. This film is smoking, but not in a good way. Not in a Jim Carrey shouting, "Smokin'" in The Mask way. It's a crap impression, but you know what I mean, okay? If someone ambitious assembled a supercut of all the times people in this movie drag on cigarettes, it would be potentially whole minutes long. And I'd hope that supercut starts or ends with a pop-in clip of Carrey yelling, "Smokin'" from The Mask, because of course. When I googled how many cigarettes were smoked in this film, ex-user @cigarettemovies posted the count is 31, which they calculated was 1 cigarette per every 3.71 minutes of runtime. Keep in mind, fight scenes can last up to 10 minutes, so for most of the film, smoking is constant. The 3.71 minutes per cigarette ratio is actually higher since action scenes don't count. So when the film isn't smoking hot, it's smoking cigs. But the physical act of smoking isn't my complaint here. Plenty of noir film have had a private eye or a spy or a crook puffing away on a cancer stick, pondering their next move in a calculated game of doom. Here, though, the smoking seems to be a simple substitute for making scenes more visually lively and darker, not knowing how to make dramatic or kick-ass dialogue or booyah moments. Take a scene where Broughton visits Percival's apartment. She spots, and we sure as hell do too, as the audience, Machiavelli's The Prince sitting on the shelf. When Percival and Broughton go on a walk and talk, of course she quotes The Prince back to him. Does the quote relate to the plot? Yeah. But is it an overly simplistic, cliche, and annoying way for the hem to have some kind of tete-a-tete? Show that he's definitely more than a hungover, burned-out station agent? Yes. But this is a thing that annoys writers, or at least this pretend one you're listening to now. It feels very forced, just there to give us a shred of something between them. So this film isn't going to make it on your lips as something you come back to quoting. I could have just said, it's not a very quotable movie. How's that? Then there's the plot. I'll admit I can't piece it together for you. It made little sense to me, if at all, and seems to be a common complaint of critics and audiences. Why, in particular, Percival behaves the way he does, I don't get. The KGB's actions in the movie also make zero sense once all the twists are in play, which we'll get to. I have gone online and read explainers for the story, and if they are true, people disagree it seems, it still makes for a highly complicated sequence of motivations that I still don't think track. What is driving Broughton, Percival, or LaSalle? Well, we can guess from what they do, but on our first watch of the movie, few of us will know why. The film wants to keep you in the dark to build suspense, but in doing that, it sacrifices character building. Walter Hill, the American action director, said somewhere, to paraphrase, that he preferred simple, Western-like plots for his action films. Get the riches, like in Trespass, rescue the girl, like in Streets of Fire, return to Coney Island, like in The Warriors. In this twisting game of spy intrigue, there's no direction. Usually we are steered in one direction as an audience, so when an unexpected character change occurs, we are caught off guard. But we never know which way the wind is blowing in these characters' minds. That keeps us, or at least me, from getting invested in the characters, so I didn't care much for the turns in the story. Is it possible to have a high-action film and a compelling spy thriller? I bet it is. But this film overcomplicates it to the point that it can't accomplish both. That's a problem. And now for the pumping music, which actually takes away no points. And a heads up, there are mild spoilers here. You can use the chapter skip if you'd like to avoid them. I'm stuck in a push and pull when it comes to the soundtrack. The film features a glob of 1980s hits, sometimes with bombastic covers in place of the original. They serve to transport us back to the period, as well as kick up the dust from our ears and crank the adrenaline. Director David Leitch, and whoever else provided input, has assembled a playlist-worthy mix. There's a skirmish between Broughton and the local police to the blaring sounds of George Michael's father figure. Fittingly, a flock of seagulls as I Ran, So Far Away, charges a car chase, and one of my favorite Depeche Mode tracks, Behind the Wheel, sets the dubious mood before a pivotal action scene. But there's a downside. The film isn't one of those lighthearted parties, a breezy first-person shooter in film form. It's that broody, neon noir, cigarette drag affair. So even though this is a moody rip of tracks, there are times where the blaring music takes away from a scene's tension, and emotionally, I don't know where we've gone. Take the opening scene. MI6 agent Gascoigne flees with the agent list, KGB agent Bakhtin in chase. We hear Health's slamming, bassy cover of New Order's Blue Monday as he runs, slipping through chain-link fences and looking for a way out. Bakhtin gets the upper hand, going about a grisly end for Gascoigne with a car bumper and a pistol. While I love the song, I don't follow the sequence. These poppy sounds over the nasty deeds don't pair well with the drag-on cigarettes, the stare at the wall or each other visual energy of the majority of the film, nor do they make an ironic contrast I can find. So the music we'll call a net zero, as I'm delighted with it, but at times don't like how it interacts with the story and visuals. And then there's a twist of too much lime, which takes away a point. Twists are risky. Audiences may come down hard on you if they don't feel the payoff. That's why multiple twists are like attempting the double-triple axle. Is that an actual thing? Of film plots. So while I won't give away the end of the film, I will ask a simple question. How do you know when your movie has too many twists and turns? The minute your audience feels like groaning. Now, I didn't actually groan at the finale, but I let out a small moan, and that lets out 1 point. So adding it all up, Atomic Blonde scores 9 points. On my scale of let's not watch, should I watch or go watch this movie, that's going to land it in the should I watch rating. Okay, get your tomatoes and random debris ready to hurl in my general direction. This movie frustrated me. You have Charlize Theron and co. unleashing dynamite in the heated performances. The fight choreography gracefully slams people around in holy shit fashion. And the soundtrack, even if I don't like its reverb on tone effects, kicks. But a spy movie, or just a movie in general, needs compelling friction between those characters. All those 99 red balloons Atomic Blonde tied together were leaking. I'll hold my hand up and say maybe someone can explain how this plot made more sense than I am giving it credit for, and perhaps I overlooked where the tension was coming from. But I don't think so. Even the breakdowns I've read of the ending don't explain the mass confusion in the characters' motivations and actions. So this inability to tie fantastic action and atmosphere to something, really anything, left me disappointed. That being said, not everyone judges a film on such a high bar as me. It is an action film, and that, well, it delivers by the bushel. Bushel? So if you're after some of the best action you can find, delivered in a neon, sexy style, please, here you go. The Legacy of Atomic Blonde. So what's the legacy of Atomic Blonde? Well, it certainly has its fans. You can find relatively current Reddit threads about it from time to time, showing it hasn't escaped every fan's memory. And people like me are still picking it up for the first time, of course. The stairwell fight, in particular, is the pick out of most of the film's praise, as does the movie's soundtrack, cinematic look, and, yeah, the love between Broughton and LaSalle. So when watching this movie, I couldn't help but think, man, all the ice baths Broughton takes have to be performed by Charlize Theron, and you wonder how many takes they had to do to get them right. Brrr. You hope nobody on the crew messed up pulling focus or was fiddling with the lights, making them do more takes. But the big thing here is that there are notes that Theron had to work with 8 personal trainers and ended up puking every day. And she ground down her teeth from the intensity of the training and had to have them surgically repaired. So sometimes I think it is overblown when actors do research or, quote, suffer for their art. My wife works in a hospital and suffers for her job daily, not to mention working in a hospital environment during a deadly pandemic for years. Still, I think the physical work Theron put in for this film sounds punishing. For Charlize Theron, Atomic Blonde helped cement her as an action star. You had Fury Road in 2015, with her all-timer performance as Furiosa, and this movie in 2017. So I think movies like The Old Guard and its sequel, in which Theron starred, were easier for her to get done. And hey, I still need to see that movie and its sequel, which after this film, I'm excited to check out. But Theron wasn't alone in suffering. According to IMDb trivia, James McAvoy broke his hand on the set of Split and still had an injured hand for all of the action scenes he shot here. McAvoy was already a well-known actor before Atomic Blonde, appearing in films such as X-Men First Class and X-Men Days of Future Past as Charles Xavier, Professor X, and his career has continued to grow. He showed up in Glass, M. Night Shyamalan's sequel to Unbreakable and Split, in which he starred, and X-Men Dark Phoenix, among other roles. And Sofia Boutella, who had already been known for her appearances in films like Kingsman: The Secret Service and Star Trek Beyond, continued her successful career with appearances in films like 2024's The Killer's Game. For director David Leitch, I hope it's Leitch, I've been saying Leitch the entire time. For director David Leitch, success with Atomic Blonde no doubt helped propel him to his next films: Deadpool 2, Hobbs and Shaw, Bullet Train, and The Fall Guy. So if you're keeping track, that's films starring hitters like Ryan Reynolds, Jason Statham, and The Rock, Brad Pitt, and Ryan Babygoose, aka Ryan Gosling. Leitch has also produced films such as Nobody, Violent Night, Love Hurts, and Nobody 2, and is in line for upcoming projects including the Highlander remake. And he's been executive producer for John Wick 2, 3, and 4, as well as 2021's Kate. So yeah, Leitch has his fingerprints all over this action genre. My prediction is that as Leitch movies continue to gain acclaim out there, many people will go back to Atomic Blonde as a stellar, credited debut. You've heard my mixed feelings about the film, but I think I'm outvoted, and it will be an action classic to many. And that's great for the record. Okay, that's all I have for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. And if you haven't seen it yet, well, normally I'd tell you to watch Atomic Blonde, but I'm mixed on whether or not you should do that. But if you have seen it, what do you think? Is it less confusing and broody than I depicted? You can reach out and let me know on Blue Sky using the link in the transcript, or just search for Will Turn Tail. And if you liked this episode, would you please take a minute or two to leave me a review or rating on this podcast if you haven't done that already? A few people have rated it before, and I so appreciate that. It makes a massive difference. Or if you're listening on YouTube, hit that like button and subscribe. New episodes of this podcast come out on Thursdays, except ones like this that are late, but most of them come out on Thursdays. I do not know what next week's episode will be. Just like last week, if the trend continues, it still won't be The Mist. And the running joke on this podcast rolls on. I still have it in mind to finish up the Brandon Lee movies, so I might do a mashup episode of all the Brandon Lee movies that aren't The Crow that I have seen. Or it may just be something completely random, like this one. Whatever it is, I hope you'll join me again next Thursday. This podcast episode is production copyright of Overegged Media LLC, located in Sacramento, California. For reference, photos linked in the transcript are copyrighted by the Internet Movie Database. This review's factual information was gathered through online sources like Wikipedia, IMDb, or interviews. Misrepresentations and errors are possible, but unintentional. Introduction music, Neon Laser Horizon by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com. Licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0 license. And the exit music and additional music, they are also by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com, also licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0 license. The names of those tracks are Voxel Revolution, Rising Tide, quote, Faster, and Proto Funk. See you next time.